Great.
Awesome.
If you are joining us, welcome. We are going to wait until a couple minutes after 6 p.m. to start the meeting. If you have just joined us, welcome. We're going to wait until about a little after 6 to join the meeting. So far, we have 29 attendees in the meeting. Leonard, I'd like to have you kick it off. Okay, just so you know, and we'll put your video up on the screen. So right now, I'm prepping his video. You can see that, Devin, on your end probably. And then we can send it live.
I actually don't see it on my end of you switching it, but I can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Welcome to the 32 people on the meeting. For panelists who have joined, we are live, so anything you say is recorded as part of the meeting. If you have just joined the meeting, welcome. We will start a few minutes after 6 o'clock. For the panelists, you are able to share your video, but the public cannot see your video unless you are sent live. So right now, only the public can see my video. We have 42 attendees. Welcome to the meeting. We will get started in a minute or so. We have 46 attendees.
Someone said, I see you talking, but there isn't any sound.
That is probably, why don't you do a private reply to them and say that it must be something on their end with sound.
Okay.
Okay, we have 51 attendees. Leonard, do you want to kick us off? I'm going to send you live. Okay, you're live, Leonard.
Good evening, everyone. We want to thank everybody for coming out this evening to our virtual community meeting to discuss the feedback that we've received from citizens in the city of Richmond regarding the resort casino RFP and the proposals that we've received. My name is Leonard Sledge. It's my privilege to serve as the Director of Economic Development for the city of Richmond, also facilitating the conversation tonight. And the presentation is Maritza Pritchin, who is the Deputy Director in Planning and Development Review and who heads up the city's Office of Equitable Development. I would like to note that for those of you who joined in to our last community meeting last week, in which the Bally's team was presenting, we did realize that there was a capacity issue in terms of the number of participants. It was capped at around 350, unbeknownst to us, because of the format that we use. We should not have that problem this evening. However, there is a different Microsoft Teams format that we're using, and because of the different format to allow up to 10,000 people to participate, there is not a chat feature. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. We're really thankful and appreciative for all of the feedback and all of the community engagement thus far. And so tonight, our sole goal for this evening is to share a summation of the feedback that we've received and to keep the process moving forward. So with that, again, thank you, and I'd like to turn it over to Maritza.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, everyone who has joined us on this call today, who has joined us tonight on this call. So tonight, as Leonard said, this is a slightly different format. We are using MS Teams Live. It allows more participants. And if you want to ask a question, there's a Q&A box on your end, and that comes to us. We will also accept verbal questions, and you can unmute yourself if you're on your phone and you're not using a chat box, but we will do that at the end of the meeting when we have Q&A. So first, we're going to start with a timeline. We have about 71 attendees on the call. Sorry, I jumped to a different topic, but before I start on the agenda and the timeline, we have 71 attendees on the call right now, as well as part of the panelists, and you might hear them chime in at points. There's me, there's Sharon Ebert, the DCAO for Planning and Economic Development, Valerie Mitchell, the head of the Office of Community Wealth Building, Ellen Robertson, councilperson for the 6th District, Leonard Sledge, who you just saw, Bob Steidel, the DCAO for Operations for the city, Matt Welch, a senior advisor for the city, and then Devin Wood, a communications specialist for the Department of Economic Development. So you might hear some voices chime in, and that's who those people are. So I'm going to go over a timeline of the process that we have used so far, and we have gone over this in previous meetings, but we never know who has not joined a meeting before. So as a refresher, in March of 2019, the General Assembly adopted legislation to permit casino gaming in 5 Virginia localities. They required that JLARC complete a study on casino gaming and that the General Assembly then subsequently could approve it in the following legislative season. So January, February of 2020, Richmond City Council discussed the casino legislation in about 4 public meetings. And during the February 3rd meeting, Council came to a general consensus that they wanted to ask the General Assembly for the opportunity to explore bringing a casino gaming establishment to Richmond, provided that the city could have control over selecting the operator and site via a competitive process. So in April 2020, the General Assembly adopted that legislation with that provision that was requested by City Council. And then November 3rd, 2020, the other 4 municipalities voted yes to resort casinos in their cities. December 2020, Richmond issued an RFP seeking community, or issued a survey, seeking community input on what should be included in an RFP. That RFP was released at the end of December. In January, the Richmond Economic Development Authority hired a casino gaming expert consultant convergence strategy group to assist the city in reviewing the proposals and providing general advice and knowledge on casino gaming best practices. In February, the city received proposals from 6 casino operators, and we are here right now, February to May 2021, where a 9-person member evaluation panel is reviewing proposals and seeking community input, and will ultimately recommend a preferred operator and site in May to City Council. The City Council will then need to, they can approve that recommended site and operator to be put on a ballot, and then petition the courts that the operator and site be included in a referendum on the ballot. So City Council is saying, please courts, let the people vote on this. And that is the decision that City Council will have in June. In November 2nd, if City Council chooses to petition the courts, in November 2nd, 2021, all Richmond voters will be able to vote on a gaming referendum question that will ask, shall casino gaming be permitted at a casino gaming establishment in the city of Richmond? And then this, in the parentheses, this is where it'll say the location, as may be approved by the Virginia Lottery Board. If you voted in the last election in Richmond and you voted for the mayor that was on your ballot, then that means if you had the choice to vote for one of the people running for mayor, that means that you are a voting resident of the city of Richmond. Sometimes it's a little confusing because people's postal address says Richmond, Virginia, but they actually live in Henrico or Chesterfield. It's only people who live within the 62 and a half square miles of the city of Richmond that can vote on the referendum. So that's how we got here. Now let's dive into that period that we've been in so far. February to April has been the share and listen period, is what we've called it. We've hosted we've posted a lot of documents online. We've shared a lot of videos. We've had several meetings. We've had comment opportunities on this online digital platform called Conveyo. People have emailed us. People have commented during public meetings. We hosted 6 different virtual meetings, not including this one. These are all previous. And then we also attended meetings by others, City Council informal meeting, several district meetings. We have a couple more district meetings that we've been invited to coming up. And then this is only the stuff that the evaluation panel and city officials have hosted, people who are not including all the other meetings that people have been having where it wasn't us presenting. Us being members of the evaluation panel, which is usually me or Leonard Sledge. We are both on the evaluation panel along with Councilperson Robertson, Councilperson Andreas Addison, Valerie Mitchell, Bob Steidel, Sharon Ebert, Melvin Carter, and I think I got them all, but it's online as well. So I'm going to run through what we did. March 9th and 10th, we did an overview of a process. We hosted 2 meetings. Both of these meetings recordings are available on our website, and the website is at the bottom of the screen here. During these 2 meetings, which had identical content, we had Convergent Strategy Group, that consultant that the city hired, presented their market analysis for the city of Richmond's potential for a resort casino within the property of the city. I mean, within the bounds of the city is what I'm trying to say. And so they did this market analysis before any of the proposals were received by the city. They analyzed, okay, if I were a casino operator and I was going to locate either downtown, north, or south in general areas of Richmond, not picking particular sites, but general areas of Richmond, how much revenue could I expect? What would my market be? How many people would come? And then from that, they extrapolated out like how much money that could result in taxes for the city of Richmond, based on things like the gaming tax, things like meals, hotel, sales, property tax, and then that was the projections of taxes, and then they also analyzed the market. They know that there's existing gambling opportunities with Rosie's and horse race betting, and then also casinos that are just outside of the Commonwealth of Virginia. They also know that there's other things planned for more gaming, a facility in Dumfries, the 4 resort casinos that were approved last November, and so they took all of that into account. They drew a dot in the middle of, they put a dot in the middle of Richmond, drew a 2.5-mile drive time circumference, and did analysis to determine how many people might be coming to Richmond. Part of their analysis was also like what proportion of the revenue that the resort casino would bring from City of Richmond residents and outside. And so they determined that about 78% of the revenue that these establishments would be generating would be coming from people outside of the City of Richmond who are coming to Richmond to go to the resort casino. They also, this is included in their full market assessment report, which is available on our website. They also have a gamer profile that men are more likely to gamble than women. Middle-aged adults are more likely to gamble than young adults. Those who identify as white are more likely to gamble than those who identify as Hispanic, Black, or Asian. So they kind of profiled the average gamer. They also talked about in their report, they did a research review of the socio and economic impacts of resort casinos. They talked to city officials in Ohio and Massachusetts, as well as drawing from their 20 years of experience, more than 20 years of experience with working on casinos across the world. And they also reviewed unbiased research. And the reason I say unbiased research is that there's a lot of information out there on the internet about casinos, and some of it is by people who are very, very anti-casinos. And so their analysis is very weighted to be unfavorable. The this UMass Institute existed before they started collecting data on the socioeconomic impacts of casino gaming, before Massachusetts opened any gambling in any casinos within its confines. And so they find that their analysis is a little bit more true, and presents like what the actual impacts of resort casinos are. In their report, which I invite you to go read, they talk about ways to mitigate problem gambling. They talk about how about 1% of the American population might have a proclivity to end up being a gambling addict, and they talk about different programs that exist. They also talk about how crime fears are typically overblown. This is in their report. We shared this information on March 9th and 10th. And this is that, yes, there might be more crime than if nothing had been in a place, because when nothing was there was no crime because no one was there. But when something comes in and a lot of people are coming in, there can be a little bit of like crimes of opportunity, like pickpocketing and things that just happen when you have a lot of people near each other. One of the people that Convergent Strategies interviewed said that it was similar to the amount of crime you'd get from a big box like power shopping center in their jurisdiction. They talked about how traffic impacts get mitigated through infrastructure improvements, and then they also talked about the unique situation that Virginia is in. And I didn't know this before because I'm not a casino expert, but basically in other states, the state has historically said this is where the casino is going to go, and the locality has no input in it. And we're going to take all of the gambling tax revenue and take it to the state level. And the locality often doesn't get anything. But just in the last couple of years, and Virginia is kind of unique in this, it's changed, and Virginia granted the localities the power to decide where, and also said that a certain percentage of the tax revenue is going to go directly to the locality rather than going to the state. So that's really different. Usually in the past, this is again talking to the casino gaming experts who study this across the country. usually in the past, the state would negotiate directly with the operator, and the locality didn't get to negotiate for any terms. And so these are some things that have been coming out of this new age of how casinos are occurring throughout the country. That philanthropic giving, direct payments to the city, commitments to hire locally and reach certain pay levels, commitments to hire MBE firms, and more and more and more. There's lots of different ways that localities are negotiating with the operators. And then finally, we shared at the end of the meeting an overview of the Conveyo platform. Oh wait, not finally. That bullet shouldn't be there. My next slide, then we shared that there were 6 proposals and these one-pagers were posted online. And then we gave an overview of the Conveyo platform. So that's what happened on March 9th and 10th. You can go and watch the full hour-and-a-half presentation as well. So we had these Conveyo boards. This was round 1. They were available March 9th through 6th. We asked these questions. People put comments on the boards. We chose to do things this way rather than just like a survey because we wanted people to be able to see what other people were saying. So that's why we chose this platform over others. Then on March 23rd, we did an overview of the process and we kind of did a pause and pulled information from Conveyo and answered a lot of questions. It was kind of an open Q&A question conversation between community members who had logged on and then also city officials and the Convergent group, the Convergent Strategies group. You can watch a video of this meeting on our website as well. Then on March 24th, the evaluation panel announced that 3 casino operators had been shortlisted, and we posted the 3 videos of those shortlisted operators on our site. They were chosen because they had very robust proposals that really showed a lot of detailed information. That was in the press release that we shared on that day. That same day, we posted a second round of Conveyo boards, which were available March 24th through April 6th. We asked people, what do you think the strengths of the proposal is? What do you think the weaknesses are? What do you think of the location that makes it good or not good? And how could it be made better? So that's what's here on these boards. Then we went into 3 meetings that were all held last week. They each lasted 2.5 hours long. And in each one, there was an overview of the process, that timeline that we just saw, a presentation by the offerer. So we had one by the Cordish companies talking about their proposal for live casino hotel Richmond at Ash Boulevard and West Lee Street. That's where the Movieland property, where the Movieland Bowtie Cinema is today, and some property behind it. And then we had open Q&A that lasted for about over an hour and a half. Lots and lots of questions that we fielded from the chat and from people speaking the questions aloud. Then we had a meeting on March 31st, again, an overview of the process. Urban One and Peninsula Pacific, who are partnering together for one casino and resort, spoke about their project. And again, there was about over 90 minutes of questions that were asked and we fielded via the chat and phone and the computer. And then finally, Bally's Richmond on April 1st shared their presentation. This was the one where we learned that MS Teams has a maximum of 350 people when you host it as a traditional Teams meeting, which is why we're doing the meeting this way today. Bally spoke about their proposal for Bally's Richmond Casino Resort near the Chippenham Parkway and Powhite Parkway. It's a large parcel behind the Publix and Target development that's on Forest Hill. And again, there was that Q&A period. And at that moment, I realized that chat didn't function for some people. So then people were emailing me. So we were getting questions by email, questions by chat, and also phone and the computer. So it was a pretty lively 3 nights in a row of long meetings with a lot of questions that people were able to pose directly to the resort casino operators. So in the end, we had about 1,200 meeting attendees. We had nearly 2,000 comments on those boards. We received 1,500 emails and counting. We are still processing them because we've gotten so many. We have gotten emails in favor of and opposed to resort casinos in general and specifically for certain locations. We've also, and some of the emails are from people who live in Richmond because they put their zip code and their address in it, and some of them are from people who didn't put their zip code and address, so we don't know, and some of them are from people who did put their zip code and address and it's not Richmond. All of the Conveyo comments, there's no way for us to know who put the comments on, where they live. There's no way for us to know who, if people were attending a virtual meeting, either tonight's or the 6 we held before, if they are Richmond residents and Richmond voters. There's just no way for us to really have a good understanding of it. The best way for any municipality to have an understanding of how its citizens who are voting residents feel about something is through a voter referendum. So I just want to do a little bit of a review of the voting population of Richmond. Our last gubernatorial election, Richmond had a voter turnout of 54%. Right now we have about 160 registered voters. So if you had a similar 54% voter turnout this fall, we might have about 86,000 voters, let's say. So, you know, there's a lot of double counting that happens in this engagement with the virtual meetings and Conveyo and emails. It's hard for us to know how many unique individuals participated. Well, let's say it was 1,500, then that would be about 1.7% of the 2021 voters. Or if it was 2,000, it'd be about 2% of the 2021 voters. So that's just a little bit of statistics and numbers for you. I know that there have been surveys that people have posted with their communities to gain input. Again, if it's a public survey that anyone can access via the internet, and anyone can take it. So you don't know if it's someone who's for a casino in one location and they're taking it and they're trying to sway opinion somewhere else. It's very difficult to understand. So that's what we're managing as we continue to review the proposals. So knowing that we received so much information and we have been cataloging and evaluating it and soaking it in ever since we started the engagement process, but so much comes in right at the end, so it's a little bit hard for us to turn around in less than 48 hours a good compilation of what people said. But I'm going to share an overview of our initial review of comments and things that we heard from the community. And I want everyone to know that these slides that I'm sharing, these are not comments from the evaluation panel, but rather a review of comments received from the community. So it's not the evaluation panel's opinions, it is stuff that we have read and then kind of tried to summarize as best as we can, given all of the information. So initial review of comments. These are concerns and perceptions that different people have shared, and this is kind of a big summary of it. These are global, not specific to a specific site necessarily. A lot of people commented on the Conveyo boards, specifically, and also through emails that I received, for not wanting a casino anywhere in Richmond. People said, I don't want it in this location, and I don't want it anywhere. There was also people are concerned about decrease in property values, traffic. They're concerned about traffic and drunk driving. They're concerned about impact on their neighborhood, impact on the environment, potential harm to local businesses, the potential for crime and safety. These are concerns that people are stating. I'm not saying that they're correct or incorrect. This is just what people said. They're worried about not having meaningful long-term benefits for the city. People are worried about the gambling market being saturated and that we don't need any more gaming options within the city. People have talked about the wrong type of tourists coming. This is what people said. Again, not my own opinion. They were worried about not having union jobs. People are worried about not using local contractors or not having the jobs that are created not being a meaningful job. Again, this is what other people said. They're also worried about stress on infrastructure, such a large development might have on water, sewage, electricity, and other infrastructure and utilities. Again, all of this is stuff that other people said in the comments. Then we also asked ideas for mitigation, benefits, and revenue use. Some ideas that people said for mitigation is to have a higher minimum wage. Some of the operators said $15 an hour would be the minimum. Some people said, oh, it should be 17 because by the time you open, inflation. Some people said they want some union labor in there. Some people said that one way to like manage this new development would be through infrastructure improvements to roadways or water or sewer, the like. And then also having like Richmond police presence would be another way to manage some potential side effect or fears of crime and safety. Again, these are ideas that other people said, not my ideas. Community city benefit ideas, folks talked about how this could be increased revenue for the city, that this could help expand local businesses, that it could lead to increased tourism. It could add jobs to the economy, especially for minorities. That something they wanted to see in their community was a daycare, a grocery store, green space, and park. So these were just ideas of things that people wanted to see in their community, and they could potentially see that revenues from a resort casino or a resort casino could provide some of these community benefits. And then we asked people about ideas for how to use revenue. Several people talked about Richmond Public Schools, funding public schools. Several people talked about roadway improvements, stormwater management improvements, helping with affordable housing and providing more homeless resources, providing more money for parks, recreation, libraries, and other community services, lowering taxes because this would be an increase in taxes. Someone wrote that. People wrote about potential for job training with revenue that could come from this. Increase in pay for police, teachers, city employees was another idea that a couple of people wrote. Again, we're still going through all the information, so it's not, I say a couple, but it could be more. So this is just as best of a review as we could do in 48 hours. And then also revenue use ideas that someone mentioned was for community development just broadly. That was mentioned. So now I'm going to go over some of the initial review of comments on each. We have those boards with weaknesses and strengths, and so it's going to be on each one of the three Bally's, Live, and One. And so the initial review of comments, this is the community writing things. On the Bally's one was strengths of the provider, so that's the operator, Bally, that they have resort casino experience in other states, that they hire unionized employee, that they had endorsements from unions, and that they also have Asian and minority participation. Location weaknesses was wetlands, floodings near the river, potential grave sites on site, close to schools and single family neighborhood, lack of transit access, not near highway, traffic safety concerns, does not align with the Richmond 300 master plan, effects will spill over to the county who will not be able to vote, and too close to Rosie's. So those were comments that people wrote about weaknesses, generally summarized from all of the information we have received. Strengths of the proposal, so this is like the actual project, what people learned, was the $100 million upfront payment that Bally is committing to if they are chosen. Solar panels, parking deck instead of surface parking, most lucrative, most appealing venue. Weaknesses, no environmental impact study, no traffic study, 20-story building is wrong character for the area, and seemingly unconcerned with nearby area. So these are, again, summaries of what people said from the thousands of comments we've received. Ideas for improvement is mitigating local neighborhood traffic by making the entrance only on Chippenham, making a dedicated ramp exit off on Chippenham and Powhite parkways, a regular subsidy to the Greater Richmond Transit Company, to build a public pool, for locals, and then partnership with a company that specializes in wetland mitigation banking to ensure no lasting damage to wetlands. So again, these are some of the ideas that people said. This is an initial review of all of the information that we received. On Live Casino Hotel in Richmond, this is what folks said. They said that the provider has a vision for inclusion, that they had experience in city transformation, that they provided a more resort casino, that they had more resort casino experience, excuse me. And that they also talked about another benefit is HR benefits provided for employees. So that's about the Cordish companies, the provider. The strengths of the location was that it aligns with Richmond 300 density and nodes, proximity to the highway and Greyhound, proximity to the Pulse GRTC route, near other existing attractions, central in the city. There's a potential for spillover benefits to be in the city and versus the county because it's a central location without the county next to it. Already defined as an entertainment center, and it's a walkable area. Whereas weaknesses that people said about the location is that nearby areas like Scott's Addition are already vibrant and unique, close to residential neighborhoods, not enough parking in the area, near a historic area, does not align with Richmond 300. So some people said it did and some people said it didn't. Negative impact to small businesses and traffic concerns. Strengths of the proposal, partnership with VUU and J. Sargent Reynolds, the size of the venue, I think this is the event venue, most number of permanent jobs with the highest average salary as compared to the other proposers. A weakness that someone wrote was architecture of the building doesn't fit. And then ideas for improvement that some folks have offered are incorporating a movie theater into the program of the project, expanding Arthur Ashe to be a wider street, and then including funds to improve the Diamond site. So those were a summary of all of the things we heard, initial review on that project. On the one resort, casino and resort, strengths were minority-owned business, commitment to diversity, local business inclusion, and profit sharing opportunities for the employees to have. Weaknesses with the provider was least experience as a casino operator, didn't highlight its work with unions or employee benefits beyond profit sharing, and then conflict of interest in partnering with owner of Rosie's Gaming. Again, this is what other people said, not the evaluation panel. Strengths are that the people cited as proximity to Richmond Airport, close to 95, that it's an industrial area, underdeveloped area with space for expansion, low impact to traffic. Weaknesses that folks have said, not near downtown or other Richmond attractions, near minority residential neighborhood, car dependent location, environmental concerns, proximity to industrial uses. So again, industry is a strength and industry is a weakness. There's people that see different sides. The proposal, the strengths was that there's a large green space, that there's a festival lawn with dedicated space for food trucks, and then radio and video production, which is one of the programmatic elements that they included in their project. And then also weaknesses, the surface parking lot and smallest hotel of the three proposals. Ideas for improvement that some people have written, a public pool for city residents, parking deck with solar panels, space for rotating restaurants within the building. So that's a summary of our initial review of comments that we have received from all of the thousands of comments. And so now I just want to bring up this slide because there was a lot of concerns that people shared. And this is kind of a summary of ways that other communities have addressed concerns that folks have related to resort casinos arriving in their community. This is kind of a compilation of things from the convergence strategies, market analysis, and just research that they have done and that we have done on like what it is that communities ask for to help manage the potential different drawbacks or different things that come up with a resort casino. So one of them, problem gaming. Things that you can address is a robust gaming program and funding. There's already a Virginia lottery requirement that there's good security plans and underage gambling is not allowed. That they're pretty strict, casino operators, on not allowing underage gambling. Another idea is having an RPD office on site. And then also there's strict alcohol programs that limit alcohol abuse. This is already a Virginia lottery requirement, but that's another way that the operators manage people drinking too much alcohol and potentially driving intoxicated. Infrastructure and design, the operator pays for all infrastructure improvements. Enhanced GRTC service paid by the operator is an option. Design that minimizes environmental impact, so that can be dark sky lighting requirements. It can be buildings designed to lead standards. There can be points programs that include willing local businesses to make sure that the program of the casino, it doesn't only serve itself, but it also expands out. Shuttle service to other points of the city, a tourism desk on site to encourage people who visit the resort casino to go other places, and then also including non-gambling features such as resort amenities, entertainment, event venues, green space, and others for all of the families or folks who may come to a resort casino but want to do other things. Maybe one member of the family likes gaming, but the others don't, and then they have options of other things to do. And then even as the community, there's other things where people who don't do gaming have an opportunity to have fun at the resort as well. There's also another way, there's minimum MBE ownership and participation in construction operations is something that can be requested. Also making sure that the lowest salary position is paid a minimum of $15 an hour, and that there's also workforce development partnerships with universities and other workforce entities, as well as providing healthcare benefits, et cetera, and different other benefits. And then there can also be a commitment to hire positions within Richmond as much as we can require that within legal abilities of the city. And then also, finally, and I kind of talked about this before, there's community funding where there can be additional payments. Danville got additional payments. I think the consultants were saying that Rockford, Illinois, there's a bunch of other cities, excuse me, have negotiated additional payments, and some of the operators have talked about that in their videos that you all saw. So on the next slide, I was going to ask Leonard to help me with it. Maybe we can tag team it, Leonard. This is something that's come up a lot. You know, why is the city even considering this opportunity? Why are we spending our time doing this? Well, for one, the General Assembly allowed Richmond to do this, and after the City Council lobbied for a competition, and then we're able to hold a referendum about this. So that's part of it. The General Assembly created this opportunity for the city. Again, Virginia's resort casino approach is unique in that it's giving a lot of authority to the localities to make their own deals. And that's very different. And it's also giving a good cut of the gaming tax revenues directly to the localities. Finally, there's gambling in Richmond today. Today, you can get on your phone and you can bet on sports betting right now. You can go to Rosie's and then you can participate in the lottery, the Virginia lottery. There's a lot of gaming that exists today. There aren't necessarily problem gambling programs that have been set up or funded because we know that 1% of the population is susceptible to problem gaming. So potentially this could help create a funding revenue. But there's already gaming today, and we know that in a couple of years when the other localities finish their casinos, there'll be even more right next to us.
Maritza, may I also add
Yes,
something to that, please, in terms of there's gambling already in Richmond today. You're absolutely right. And one of the things, you know, again, if you think about it, the Virginia lottery, one of the common criticisms that I have is that I hear rather is, how much of that directly, goes into Richmond Public Schools. The other Rosie's Gaming Emporium, yes, there is direct revenue to the city, but I just want to make sure that everyone clearly understands the way that the amount of the direct revenue to the city is is 0.25%. So 1/4 of 1% is the local revenue that's generated from Rosie's. And so with the opportunity through the Virginia Casino Act, we have Richmond has the ability to have a resort casino, which is different in many regards than the Rosie's Gaming Emporium that's in the city on Midlothian. There's a greater revenue stream, and we have the ability to negotiate on behalf of the city many things that we have not had the opportunity to do so, whether it be Rosie's, the Virginia Lottery, or the gray machines, which will be going away. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone, understands the difference in the revenue and the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Leonard. The other thing that a lot of folks wrote about was about drinking and people drinking at the casino. And I just wanted to say that there are drinking establishments in Richmond today, a lot of them. The other piece, anything to add to that, Leonard?
Yeah, people love the fact, Richmonders and people from outside of Richmond, people love the fact that Richmond's a beer city. The craft beverage industry has flourished in the city of Richmond. Great opportunities for entrepreneurs, whether it be beer, whether it be cider, whether it be distilled spirits. The craft beverage industry has been, a prominent part of Richmond's growth.
Thank you. Also, resort casinos are more than gaming. Other locations only have other types of gambling, only have gambling at them. But a resort casino has a lot of other things. And if you look at all of the proposers, they have pools, they have spas, they have event venues with concerts coming in. One of them is proposing a video and production studio. So there's a lot of other things that people will go to one of these establishments for and not even go gambling. They'll go for the other things that are being offered within the resort casino. Anything else on that one, Leonard?
No, I think you nailed it. There are non-gaming options, again, for people to enjoy themselves at these proposed facilities.
Finally, one of the big points is that Richmond has limited debt capacity. So, Leonard, I think you should talk about this more because you know way more about this as the Director of Economic Development, and I won't be able to say it as easily.
Yeah, I would ultimately defer to someone in finance if we have a finance rep on the call with us tonight. But essentially, the city has policies in place to help ensure that we maintain a strong credit rating, and the city's credit rating has been strong and vibrant in recent years. But the reality remains, without violating those city policies, we have limited debt capacity to be able to do things like issue debt for infrastructure work, issue debt for new school construction. And so as a function of having new taxable real estate in the city and new streams of revenue to the city, what it does is it provides a more appealing, a more favorable outlook to the rating agencies, Fitch, Standards and Poor's, and Moody's, and again puts the city in a position where, if it wanted to, could issue more debt, again just based on the amount of taxable real estate and a number of other factors in the city as well.
Thank you. Another thing is that Richmond has double-digit poverty. We need more jobs that pay a good wage and do not require a high level of skills. The resort casino could offer 1,800 to 2,000 jobs, average salary ranging from about 53 to 57, I think is what they've said, Leonard. $1,000. What else do you want to add on that one?
Yeah, I mean, the jobs piece is so critical, and the opportunity that exists at any of these sites the presentations that we had early in this process where I shared about Richmond's priorities, and poverty reduction is absolutely one of them. Enhancing opportunities for economic mobility for individuals who are citizens, and so the opportunity with the resort casino, a number of different types of jobs, from food service to dealers in the casino, to technicians, people who are fixing and repairing games, to fitness instructors, hotel operations, finance, accounting, human resources, buildings, grounds, and maintenance. There are a wealth of opportunities for a number of skill sets, whether they be highly skilled or jobs that don't require as much skill. The key is the opportunity for nearly 2,000 new jobs for Richmonders, and and our focus on to the limits, to the broadest limits that we can push, to help ensure that those are opportunities for Richmonders. As Maritza shared earlier, our goal and objective is to ensure that that the absolute minimum threshold from wages is $15 an hour, whether those be tipped or untipped positions. We want to make sure that we create an opportunity for Richmonders to grow economically.
And finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's an estimated $30 million annually that can be used to pay for a number of the priorities that Richmonders and City Council and the Mayor want, like new schools, affordable housing, parks, roads, and those are the annual tax revenues, not including additional payments that many of the operators are offering up front to the city, or additional annual payments as well. So I see some comments coming in, and I'm not trying to be like pro casino propaganda as what people are saying. It's that we just want to share like why this is an opportunity that people should learn more facts about, so that come if we have an opportunity in November, or even leading up to council voting on it, people have more knowledge about what it is that we're voting on.
Yeah, and Maritza, as we've said before, we clearly understand that people are very passionate about this topic, this subject, this opportunity, on both the con and pro side of resort casinos, casino gaming, and gambling. And as we have stated consistently, with the opportunity that the Virginia General Assembly has given the city of Richmond to host a resort casino facility, our job, our responsibility is to identify the best project possible to put in front of all voting Richmonders on November the 2nd, if City Council petitions the court to allow a referendum to move forward. And then all voting Richmonders will ultimately say whether or not there's a resort casino in the city. Again, from the standpoint of the administration, we just want to make sure that the best opportunity is presented and people understand what it is, and then exercise your vote.
So Leonard kind of went over the what's happening next. So that's up on the slide. In June, council will vote on a resolution to petition the courts to add a referendum to the November ballot. So there is a potential that council would not petition the courts. I don't know what happens then. I don't know if we get another chance in November, or it goes back to the General Assembly and they decide to let another locality have a referendum. I don't know if they say no. But if they petition the courts to add a referendum to the ballot, then every Richmond voter will be able to vote in November on the resort casino opportunity. And so a couple of questions. JLARC means I had to look it up because I don't remember it. The Joint Legislative
Audit Review Commission.
Correct. Joint Legislative Audit Review Commission. Thank you. It's a state level organization. RFQ means request for qualifications. RFP means request for proposals. So what the city issued was a request for operators to say why they were qualified to be operating a resort casino, and then propose a specific project and site for a resort casino in Richmond. Leonard, what are the hours of operation permitted by law, and what hours of operation may we anticipate?
I do not know if there is a law prohibiting the hours of operation. That is a question I do not know the answer to.
Okay. And then, let's see, next, isn't a lot of it pro-casino too, especially when the report is by a group who has a partner who owns casinos and is thus pro-casino? I think this is in reference to the Convergent Strategies Group market assessment. And I don't think that the person you're talking about, Scott Fisher, currently owns a casino, but he did previously. That is true. And I think, like, what I have found refreshing in talking to the partners from Convergent Strategies is that they are very measured in their, they provide very good advice. Let's just put it that way, on asking for, more support for problem gambling, and asking for things to help with a huge new development that would be coming in to manage all of the traffic and the different things that come with really big developments of any kind, whether or not there's a gaming component to it. Anything else to add, Leonard, about them?
No, nothing else to add. I mean, the Convergent Strategy Group, over 40 years of experience working with localities and also casino gaming operators. They have a level of expertise that we didn't have in the city as it relates to casino gaming, which is why we sought out the assistance of professionals.
Okay, a question about the UMass study. It was sponsored by the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, who includes implementing expanded gaming law as part of their mission statement. Why do you consider this study unbiased? The reason it's considered unbiased is that it is funded through tax revenue that is generated from casino gaming. Yes, that is true in the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. However, it's going to academics who are doing unbiased research to see how they're collecting research and data so that they can help change laws and policies to mitigate and manage any potential negative side effects of gambling in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So part of the analysis, and the reason it's kind of wants to be unbiased and more true, is so that then they can change their laws according to the research. So that's why people consider it to be more unbiased, because it's just separate people who are funded from it, but they're not it's tax revenue that goes from all the casinos to them and then goes to this other group as well. Anything to add, Leonard?
No, nothing else to add.
Someone said, if we are Richmond voters residents, do we need to resend our emails with our addresses? No, please do not resend your emails. In fact, a lot of people sent emails to many, many people at once, which created, instead of just sending it to the econdev@richmondgov.com. So now we have it makes it more challenging for us because we have many people who've gotten different emails at different places, and they just CC'd everyone. So then we don't always know, or they BCC'd people, so we don't know where it went. So it makes it harder for us to manage. Don't resend your emails. I'm just saying.
But know that they are being read.
They are being read. Yes, they are being read. All of it's being read. Yes, our system didn't ask for zip codes because there wasn't a way to do that. And then also people may not tell the truth. It's the internet. So it's challenging. I think I saw a question before. Is there a way to know that you know, people who are pro one casino aren't like influencing another one. No, there's no way for us to know. Like people could just be trying to like subvert the process. And I'm telling you this now, so then now maybe people will go do that. The best way to find out how people feel about something is at the ballot box. Let's see. Can you now and/or will you publicly share the amount of for and against feedback you received for each individual proposal? We're trying to like review all of it. So we're just we're trying to see how we can do something like that. But again, we don't know everyone who filled it out, so there's no way to know if they're actually voting residents of the city of Richmond, or if they're not, if they're paid people from different folks.
And again, the you know, as you know, with the data, you know, with some of the, in terms of trying to quantify the amount of feedback that was received, it is a small, still meaningful percentage of the potential number of Richmonders who will be voting in November. And so, you know, we are absolutely mindful of the feedback that we've received, but again, recognizing that it is a small percentage of the voting population.
Let's see. If a casino is not producing revenue, the operator projected, if a casino is not producing revenue that the operator projected and decides to sell, does Richmond have any say in who a buyer will be?
That's a great question. Typically in the agreements that we've done, development agreements, we have language that speaks to assignment. And I wouldn't rule out, you know, in our discussions and negotiations, having similar language as it relates to assignment. You know, our goal now and in the future is to ensure that, you know, if any development moves forward, it's a quality development, and we have the appropriate safeguards in place for Richmonders. And I'd like to reiterate again, just a point that we've shared in previous meetings, that the city has no inclination, no need or desire to provide any funding, any abatements, any exemptions, no deals or anything like that, no public funding for this type of project in the city. Any improvements from an infrastructure standpoint that need to be made, they will be made at the cost of the developer. At the cost of the operator. This is an opportunity, again, for Richmond to benefit through a project like this.
Who picks the city proposal, the committee or the council? The evaluation panel will recommend a operator insight to council. The evaluation panel has been reviewing and has reviewed all of the proposals, very detailed information that they provided. Once the evaluation committee recommends a site, what happens if council has a divided vote? Who makes the final decision on the location? Go ahead, Leonard.
Yeah, it takes a majority vote of council, to petition the court to move forward in this process. And a part of petitioning the court, there has to be agreement by council or by that majority vote on the operator and site. It's a combo deal.
Is the city factoring the amount of rooms between the three resorts, the amount of hotel rooms?
You know, certainly, again, as we continue our focus on having a great resort casino, you know, we want to help ensure that it's a destination, one, to attract people from outside of the city and even outside of the 2.5-hour radius. And so, you know, the overall scope of the project, you know, hotel rooms, amenities, unique features, all of those things are taken into consideration.
Who is reading, tallying the comments from citizens? I am, one of my staff members, and one of Leonard's staff members. It's a big undertaking. Let's see. Are any of the studies reporting on crime in the communities around the casino rather than just on casino property?
Yeah. So for the city of Richmond, I'm actually awaiting. I'm waiting on data to talk that looks at crime. So the only measuring point we have on the ground in the city of Richmond in terms of where casino gaming is in a large facility is Rosie's. And so I have data and statistics, in terms of call outs at the property itself, and the request that I made of RPD, and I should have it any day now, is to have data and statistics for the surrounding neighborhoods and looking at it, in terms of points in time prior to the opening of Rosie's and post the opening of Rosie's. And again, that's to give a sense of what's happened at Rosie's, or as a result of Rosie's being in the city. But I would caution everyone that it may not be a fair measuring stick for any other type of facility. But again, a good something to help us get a sense.
Do you have any sense on how much feedback you have left to review? We have reviewed the Conveyo comments, and we're just finishing going through emails.
Yeah, and I'd like to also note to everyone that from a community engagement standpoint, this will not end our community engagement. As the evaluation panel moves forward with a recommendation to the mayor and then on the city council and any deal points, there will be broad communication about the structure of any community host agreement that we have, and we will have, again, more broader community engagement around that. And so what we've done essentially is we've dumped everything into the top of the funnel as we've had our community engagement, and then as we're marching towards a recommendation, again, as whichever organization, whichever project and location is recommended, there will be more robust community engagement around that.
If the evaluation panel picks an operator, is the city able to pick a different operator?
I don't think the city attorney is on the line with us tonight. Again, the ordinances and resolutions that'll get introduced will be before council. In terms of that part of the legislative process, I would respectfully defer to the city attorney's office, and I don't think anyone from the city attorney is on the line with us.
No, I don't think so either.
And also from a time standpoint this evening, we allocated 1 hour for tonight's meeting. We're at about 7:06 right now, and so we'd just like to again ask the final couple of questions and bring this to a close and summary at about 7:10.
Can I ask if you're going to get any questions from those that are online by phone?
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Please, yes, unmute and ask a question if you're on the phone.
If I might begin that. One thing is, as I understand from Quarters, this answers one of the earlier questions. It's a 24/7 operation. So I'm assuming that's true of all. I'm not sure about that. I think that was asked earlier.
Yes,
I have two questions, and one is for the bow tie site. That, as I understand it, is a federally designated historic building, and I'm curious why, therefore, the city didn't ask that building be incorporated into the design in some way. That's one question. The second one is, and all of the things that you talk about, and I really do appreciate the work and the huge amount of time that you have spent on trying to do this in a really respectful way. You really never get back to talking about what neighborhood response has been. And at least two of these casinos are literally ringed by neighborhoods. I don't know about the third. And so when you talk about it, it would be really helpful to give people a sense of what you're hearing from neighborhoods about what this means for them and the way they live their lives, because it will have dramatic impact wherever it's chosen. So I really encourage you to think more about that. And then my final question is the agreement that you would do with them very much like a community benefits agreement with the operator whoever you choose for that?
It would. Thank you for the questions. In terms of why the city wouldn't require the existing buildings to be incorporated, when the proposals were submitted, we didn't know where people would be proposing. We didn't know what they would be proposing. And so therefore, we didn't put any prohibitions on the use or the adaptive reuse of historic buildings or anything along those lines. In terms of the second part of your question was community benefits agreements. Through the host community agreement, there would be elements of a community benefits agreement, and I would not rule out a separate community benefits agreement that's negotiated in addition to the host community agreement. Thank you for the question.
Is there another question on the phone? Star 6.
I had a question.
My name is Janice Libran, and I live off of Forest Hill Avenue. In the beginning, I thought that there was one casino being proposed, which is in the area of where the recycling papers are in that manufacturing industrial area, industrial zoned area. To my surprise, there are casinos throughout Richmond, and one of them is to be in the proposed to be in the Stratford Hills area, which is completely residential. And there's an African American burial ground there.
That's right. Thank you.
That
do you have a question?
My question is this being proposed in a residential area with an African American burial ground? I think.
So one of the proposals is a site in the Stratford Hills area, and comments that people said that were weaknesses of the proposal cited potential grave sites there, as well as other environmental concerns. So that is a comment that we have heard a lot from the community in that area. And it's one of 3 shortlisted proposers, and one of the other ones is by the port, and one of the other ones is where the Bowtie Theater is today.
And also there were no prohibitions or restrictions in the RFP process to dictate where offerers could not, should, or should not submit a proposed site. Are there?
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Could someone explain who was?
Could we have the gentleman speak first, and then we'll have the woman, I think, by voice. That's what I'm judging. Sorry.
Just quickly, I'm interested to know if you all could explain how the panel was chosen that will be recommending, doing the evaluation, recommending to City Council.
Sure. The evaluation panel consists of a series of senior leaders in the city of Richmond from across a number of different departments that that reflect a diversity of professional experiences, race and gender, and that from our different perspectives. Again, from an economic development standpoint, from a human services standpoint, from a public safety standpoint, from a public infrastructure and operations standpoint, from a planning and community development standpoint, again, and also other representatives informally from the city staff, again, to assist us or to bring to light different issues from our various, again, professional backgrounds and skill sets. But again, recognizing that none of us are experts in resort casinos. Again, with funding from the city's Economic Development Authority, the hiring of Convergent Strategy Group. City Council, we did have a desire to have representation from City Council on the evaluation panel as well. And the two members of Council, Vice President Ellen Robertson and Council Member Andreas Addison, they were appointed to the evaluation panel by Council. Thank you for the question.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and now the other caller, please.
Am I that
Hi,
person?
can y'all hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. It keeps muting me and I don't know why.
240-0791. Go ahead and speak.
That's me.
Yeah.
My question is, I'm just wondering if there is, and I think Mr. Sledge earlier said that I guess I'm not sure exactly how the actual sites were selected by the casinos when they were doing the RFPs. And I don't understand, so I apologize for my ignorance on it. I don't understand exactly how all these things work.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it's possible for some sort of compromise to be reached, because I can understand why the city is drawn to the Bally's proposal, especially with the $100 million benefit. But it seems like a lot of the surrounding neighborhoods for that site are very opposed to it. And I guess I just am curious. And again, I just don't understand how these things work. So it could be completely off the table. Is there a possibility that Bally's could be at a different location and still benefit the city?
So thank you for your comment. I think
Yeah.
the operators look at a lot of different things. They're probably looking for the size of a parcel, proximity to highways and infrastructure. Leonard, what else would a general a site selector look for?
Yeah. One, there's not a lot of large tracts of land in the city of Richmond. And so I think interested parties were searching for available large tracts of land. And the parcel there at Powhite and Chippenham, 61 acres with that's adjacent to again to two state highways. And I think that as evidence in the last community meeting, Bally's recognizes that they have to figure out a sound plan in terms of site access. And so it's also important, I think, for everyone to know and understand. Again, we did not drive people to any sites. They selected those sites themselves to put forward the best proposal and best project possible. In addition to that, in our evaluation, there were, we have been evaluating and assessing more than just the site and the location and the characteristics of the sites. And I think, and I understand clearly that, the thoughts and feelings of individuals in terms of where some of these projects are being proposed. The other thing that I would say in terms of the ability to have a single project relocate to another location, regardless of what the financial incentives might be to the city, we have been evaluating the project and the site that was submitted. That's what we've been doing. And so, thank you again for the question. And it's okay, to if it's something that's not clearly understood, by all means, please ask. So thank you for the question.
And then there's one other phone call.
And this will be the last one for tonight, Maritza.
Yeah.
Am I that person?
I think so.
You drew the lucky straw.
Okay. Again, I apologize because I have to do this for respect. I've given you the opportunity to talk more about impacts on any of these neighborhoods, and you've yet again not chosen to talk about that. And the only way that's come into the conversation is when people have asked you questions. It's really important that we feel that you are thinking about the impact on any of these neighborhoods as you're making these decisions. And we have nothing to indicate that you're doing that because you avoid talking about it. I really encourage you to.
Thank you so much for your question. And I think that those were some of the global comments that people had as concerns were related to traffic, proximity to neighborhoods, were related to potential increase in crime, and also, in the grave site concern. Then there's a lot of concerns that people had related to each site, and we listed that as weaknesses on the location factor. So I think we hear you, and there are ways to manage some of those concerns through different ways that the city, working with communities, can structure potential terms with a potential operator. And so I think that's some of what's coming.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Maritza. I mean, every person who lives in the city of Richmond who responded, my sense is that a lot of people have weighed in from surrounding neighborhoods, and as we've collected that input, again, giving a summation of what some of the, for lack of a better phrase, what some of the pain points and pinch points have been, and so I believe that we are giving voice to the communities and acknowledging the concerns of the communities through the individuals who live in them, without calling out any specific neighborhoods. But again, we take your point to heart, and thank you very much. So we're at 7:20. This meeting tonight has been recorded and will be posted on the city's economic development website. There is a meeting tomorrow at noon. It will be the same presentation and the same opportunity for some Q&A as well, and that meeting will be posted as well. Again, we cannot thank you enough for the level of engagement from Richmonders as we've gone through this community engagement process to talk about the resort casino opportunity. Again, we clearly understand that there are very strong feelings on both sides of the equation. Our goal and objective is to identify the best project possible, negotiate the best project possible for Richmond citizens to ultimately say yes or no to in a voter referendum if it's moved forward by City Council. There is a lot more information on that economic development website about the process, about the projects, and again, just thank you all so very much. Your opinions and your thoughts absolutely matter. So Maritza, anything else?
No, thank you very much, everyone. And I'll see you tomorrow if you want to do this again at noon.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.